Alright, back at it. We're on our 1980 Chevy truck, C10. We're going to be putting lowering spindles here. Make the ride height of this truck go down a little bit. My camera looks like crap. I cracked the lens about a week ago. But anyway, this spindle will be replacing the factory spindle. This is set up your brake caliper and your components, ball joints top and bottom, and tie rod end to the steering right here. You're gonna have to start off getting your wheel off, so on and so. And then get some better light in here. Okay, we're gonna be taking off the tie rod end, this nut right in front of you, and then inside of here. That one I just lit up right there, that's your lower ball joint, and there's your upper ball joint. You need a couple simple tools, pickle forks, maybe a larger hammer, lug wrench to get the wheel off, and I should have actually waited on pulling this caliper off, but it does mount right here. Goes on there, and that is by these two bolts, one here and one here, and those slide right out the back. All that pops off, and we're gonna actually have to pull off this cap and the castle nut behind it and pull off the whole bearings and rotor setup, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. Let me start tearing into this. Pause the video for a second, and I'll get it back going here in a second. We got a few more pieces torn off. Alright, back to it. We got all of our castle nuts. Pulled out our cotter keys out of all three. Upper ball joint, lower ball joint, and tie rod end. Next, we got to pull the cap off, expose the castle nut, bearings, etc. under that cap. And while I'm at it, while this caliper is still on, I was going to show you this in the video. Most people will know it, but anyway, the nut goes out there and goes out on the back side of this one. Goes out that way. And that caliper, a lot of the times too, I like to stick a pry bar, shoulder pry bar in here and pry it out this way to spread the brake pads. There's a piston inside of this right here to retracts, and that's what makes your brakes work. Simple things. And we'll get this all wrapped up today here. Probably take me a couple hours, but we'll get it. And I'll try to show you everything you need in the video. So if there's something simple you can do to make this easier on yourself. We're going to be replacing these springs with the actual springs that are set up for dropping this. And then with the drop spindles, it'll have it'll basically have a or how do I say this? The strength of a stock riding truck at a lowered height of the vehicle. So a lot of times when people do this, they just cut the spring, take away the integrity of the strength, I guess, and they don't ride right, and they're either too stiff or way too weak on the suspension. So this will allow everything to be more of a stock ride with a lowered height, and it's done right that way anyway. Next step to getting these apart, you're going to need one of these pickle forks is larger and one smaller. They go in right here, and then also in here you can split all your ball joints, and your lower ball joints normally easiest from the back side back here. Just beat them on in. I like to leave my nuts threaded on just a couple threads. That way when these pop, they don't go anywhere. and then you can do the final pull of the last few threads by hand. Kind of the safest way to do it for me anyway, especially when you got a stock spring that's got a bunch of pressure on it. You'll normally want to put a jack under it, but I know these springs have been cut. They had spring spacers in them, all kinds of wacky stuff, so I still use a jack to hold everything up because I can lift upward with the whole A-arm unit. Let me get this next piece off and I'll keep taping. Alright, back at it. Next thing's next. Pop the cap off the end. And expose all the greasy, nasty stuff underneath. And I'm going to try to pile all my parts on like a rag or a towel on one spot. Always good to have quite a few of these rags around. There you go. Same thing. Got a cotter key with a castle nut. Once you get these off, this whole piece will slide. So let's pop this piece. And that. And normally, honestly, these pieces aren't too tight. Should pop right out. They're reefed on, they're too tight. Just snug is about all you want to do on them, putting them back on. Kind of tighten it up and back it off. Maybe an 8 turn if that. There's the castle nut. Now you got a washer and a bearing directly behind it. And then on the back of the shaft of this, there'll be one more bearing, so there's actually 2 bearings on it. Anyway, stick your hand in there or something. Slide the whole thing off. There's your back bearing, sealed. Honestly, we're probably going to end up cleaning all that. Now your spindle's exposed. This one, you're getting thrown away now actually, but I've already popped the upper ball joint and the front tie rod loose. The lower ball joint's still giving me hell, so bear with me. Alright, here we go. Gloves back on. Okay, this piece, tie rod in. Upper ball joint, lower ball joint. I'll go ahead and pull this off, spindle. And we are ready to put on the other spindle, the brand new one. I did take the dust cover off the back side and re-bolt, use 3 bolts. Put that back together. Okay, stop on your lower, your upper. Couple more nuts and bolts and we'll have this thing waked out. Another thing you want to watch for too is make sure your ball joints ain't super sloppy. What I mean by that is you don't want the ball joint breaking on you while you're driving down the road. Check your brake lines too. But also now with that in place, we need to actually remove the spring here. And that's going to take removing the shock. So we're going to undo the bottom of the shock, get that A-arm to drop a little lower, and then we can grab the spring, the one that's been cut, pop it out, pop in the brand new one. Let me go ahead and get a couple more things done, and we'll keep taping. Alright, after unhooking your sway bar, 2 nuts that hold it to the A-arm, undoing the shock. This arm will move a little bit for you, just enough to slide out the front spring, the coil. Remember when you're putting the other coil back in, there's a smaller side to it. The smaller side goes up. So let's go ahead and put that new coil in. Can you grab it? Here's our brand new coil. Keep in mind there's supposed to be rubber grommets on this one. Up top, we kind of wrap around to keep the banging and clanging. And then normally on the bottom there is too. And that's still in the A-arm. Everything stayed in place on this one. So, pop that in top first. You're going to have to kind of pull down on your A-arm while you're doing this. And these will be a little stiffer than what you just pulled out. Make sure you're lined up and you're around. You need to be around. Okay. Back in place. Kind of double check it. Everything looks decent. Going to get whatever apparatus for a jack you're using in place. I'm going to bring mine up with this. Now's a good time to get your gasket nuts back on. I normally try to use all brand new cotter keys every time you do this. You know how metal is. If you bend it more than a few times, it becomes real brittle on those cotter keys. Everything back in place. Alright, there we go. Alright, all that's back in. We can go ahead and retighten the sway bar. Put our shock back in. And start piecing it back together. Let me go ahead and pause this for another second. Alright, back to it. We went ahead and got the lower ball joint and the upper ball joint. Tie rod end. Oh, where'd my finger go? And yeah, now we're going to re-grease this whole section here. There we go. Got your shock back on. And also your sway bar. This has 2 bolts that go down through the sway bar. pretty simple, all put back together. Next step, let's work on putting this rotor and bearings back on, and then caliper.